Wow, that is the new thing. This is what you've been hinting at for some time.
Yeah.
And even I haven't had a sneak preview of this. So you better tell us what's going on, Kim,
Well,
please.
before this, because we're gonna finish today with the new video of this, and it's been an amazing journey to have this available. It's the only one of its kind in the world, totally unique to Photonic, courtesy of those amazing people in the UK who've done all this work behind the scenes. There are only 200 of them in existence, but I'll tell you about them at the end because we wanted to respond to we've got a couple of other bits of news that are really, really amazing. These guys were tested by the Bion Institute, and officially this EMF tech that we have in our hands and hopefully on our phones and more protecting families, etc., has now been officially approved to protect you against the harmful frequencies that 5G produce. So that is something quite extraordinary. It also confirmed its effect on restructuring water. And actually, if you look, I'm putting them above our timeline in the video. And on the websites, you can actually see an incredibly sophisticated report from the Institute. Now, the other thing about this, which is completely unique, is as a result of this certification and approval, it's now going to be put in front of a thing called ResearchGate, all independent scientists who are going to verify all of these findings. So this is turning out to be just something of an extraordinary journey.
Well, once this is done, it'll be very difficult for anyone or any organization to call it into question, because what we're talking about is not a group of witches sitting around a cauldron saying this works. You're talking about mainstream scientists who are actually going to show empirical data. That's a game changer, isn't it?
It actually is. And again, hats off to all the people in the office in England. It's extraordinary what they've done, why they've done it, and they're going to go further than any other EMF tech in the world as a result of this. And they're not going to stop there, because one of the biggest parts of this, which I'm really proud to be involved with, is that we can not only share this science, but also we're going to bring in the science from organizations like FIRE, PHIRE, and then the environmental health.org in America. These are people, all these different scientists from all over the world, very, very calmly showing the negative effect of having this in the hand of a child, for example. And people,
you mean the phone,
the phone, yeah, the phone or the routers or the computers. Last night I was somewhere and there were all these kids at this table, and I got really upset. They had smart watches, they had earpods, they had phones, they had iPads, and they're at dinner, and they are being, they're not only being fried by all the ambient EMF and everything, they've got all of these technologies in their hands, and they were very young children. And so
the thing is, and we were talking before, not specifically about that, but generally when it becomes beyond question with mainstream, that you might get a restaurant or a cafe or a fast food chain putting in devices. So these kids and that can still come in with all this, but the retailer or the company is actually providing some level of protection. So that's another way to go down it.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely on it. And the more that we educate, the more that people become aware of the science, the more that people can ameliorate the effects and understand that there is stuff out there, and it's not just ours, but we believe ours is the best, of course.
Yeah.
But the more that people understand that there are things that they can do that have been tested and to protect them, the better.
Look, that just sit in a pocket. That can just sit in a pocket. Young people don't like their clothes out of place. They don't like a heavy wallet. That's why a lot of people use Apple Pay. They just have their phone. They don't want an old person like me with a wallet. So that, you see, can be put in there, and it doesn't particularly with young people, they don't even know it's there.
Or the back of the phone. But look, that's that. Now, what we've got, we had a lot of people asking, and you asked me the last time, and we always listen to what the members say. They asked about earpods. So without further ado, here's the dark field microscopy, or the testing of the earpods. So I'm going to show this video. It's only
just say to the audience, I've not seen this yet. So
you can see it. I mean, it's really very similar to the previous ones, but it just shows you that it works. Here it is.
Sure. Great.
In this video, using live blood analysis, we will look at the effect that wearing earpods has on the blood, and how using the photonic shield affects these results. Live blood analysis is a screening test that allows for the observation of the various components of a blood sample and can help to determine the functionality of the blood system. Human blood is composed of 45% cellular components, namely red and white blood cells and platelets, and 55% plasma. Blood has many functions, including transporting oxygen, regulating body temperature, and supporting the immune system. The condition of our blood directly correlates to the state of our health and can be a reflection of diet, lifestyle, and environmental factors. During the live blood analysis test, a pinprick needle is used to extract a drop of blood from the tip of the test subject's finger. The sample is placed directly onto a glass slide and examined immediately under a microscope of up to 1,000 times magnification. The sample is illuminated in a way that makes even the tiniest details visible. Analysing the blood in this way allows for the various components and function of the blood to be observed as they exist in the body. In this study, an initial sample was taken from the test subject. The subject's food and fluid intake had been monitored, and they had not used earpods prior to testing. The first sample showed a healthy blood picture, with red blood cells free-flowing, healthy cell membranes, and clean plasma. 30 minutes later, the subject wore a pair of active earpods for 20 minutes. 10 minutes later, a second blood sample was taken. The second sample showed a compromised blood picture, with severe rouleaux, or stacking of red blood cells, and inhibited blood flow. 30 minutes later, the subject wore the active earpods for a further 20 minutes. However, this time they were also wearing the photonic shield on the body. 10 minutes later, a third blood sample was taken. The third sample showed an improved blood picture, which was in fact superior to the baseline. Rouleaux was no longer present, and the blood flow was restored. The images suggest that wearing the photonic shield on the body has negated the negative effects of wearing active earpods on the subject's blood sample. This data set can be viewed in full on the research page of the photonic.global website.
Right, thank you. Yeah, there's lots I recognise, but it's specific to that, and it sets us aside from people who are claiming things and they don't do any scientific stuff. So I've always said it's important to actually show the lab results. So thank you for doing that.
And the thing about it is that, look, I don't want to mention anyone else, but one of the reasons we've gone through all of this pain to get something that works in multiple ways that you can carry in and out and all the rest of it, is that, you know, it's quite possible for people to make, as other companies do, a different thing for every single device. And that's, you know, that's, I'm not saying it's bad, but we wanted to do something that was all encompassing.
Well, otherwise, Kim, you'll have about 20,000 different things in your house, or, you know, and it's just not convenient. It's a bit like the early Rife machines. They were beautiful, but they weren't very convenient. And to have one object that will do multiple things, that surely is the way to go. So
there is that, and you know that everybody knows that you can get the packs of these or an individual one. So there's still going to be, for the individual ones, a 10% discount for members. So they're keeping that for you guys. So that's that part of it. However, for the big picture solution, and this is obviously eventually going to be for businesses and we hope for schools and all sorts of other things like that. I think they should be in every hotel room or on hotel.
Well, imagine people running a creche or a nursery or a kindergarten. That is what they should have.
This is it, and you see, it's not actually that huge, but it's very beautiful. And what we're going to do is I'm putting some pictures above. It's called Photonic Solar, and it uses, amongst other things, it's completely unique. It has a Tesla coil technology in it, as well as other things that are creating an incredibly safe environment. So if you do already have this, but you want to go out and keep your, if you like, mobile protection on your person, then the house remains completely covered with this. And we're going to finish today with that video. But the point of it is that, you know, we're you know, this is a slightly more expensive option, but it's an incredible device. And this is just the beginning. Again, the first 200 have been made, and this is unique for our immediate family, as it were, around the world. So there's going to be 10% off.
Yeah, if you want the whole house covered, imagine if you've got a house and you've got, say, 2 kids, and they're in different rooms and they're upstairs, and you've got, you know, you're downstairs. You can't always imagine that the kids have got one of those photonic shields in their pocket. You know what kids are like. They just leave everything everywhere. So if you wanted to ensure that the whole property was covered, then that's the way to go, isn't it? I mean, that I think is
it's 100 foot in every direction and through walls. I mean, it's a truly remarkable piece of equipment. And again,
for most British houses and European houses, that'd be fine.
Yeah, and look, and having said that, you know, if you've all got cards, that's great, but that definitely, this is something to consider. And you can't take that in the car with you, but you can take one of the cards in your wallet or your pocket. And that's the difference, isn't it? So look, it's really, really exciting. And when we've been speaking again to people, some of the people that you know, that really beautiful, really grounded naturopaths, people who really understand this stuff, and they're starting to look at this, people who work with animals, people who are really, really interested in helping educate people around the family's use of this technology, of the technology that uses EMFs and electrosmog. And we all know that the rise of illnesses and all the other things that we're facing, it's a very, very difficult time. But we're doing our best to create things that really make a difference. And I think that what's really important is it's scientifically backed. And even though those people out there always try and, you know, put people down who are using this sort of thing.
You only do the research when you have faith and confidence in your product. If you don't have that much faith in it, you don't want to subject it to scrutiny, do you? So, you know, that's why I've thrown myself behind this, because, you know, you've always, with whatever we've been involved with, we've always said, let's have it scientifically tested. And that, I think, is the openness with which we go to people and say that we've tried it, and these are the great results we've had. But look, here's a scientist He or she's had a go at it, and here's the video. I mean, what more do people want, for goodness sake? I mean, they'll go to a doctor with a white coat on and a stethoscope. They don't ask what tests have been conducted on those drugs. The doctor gives them a bottle and says, take it. They don't even question it, Kim. They just throw the tablets down their throat. At least what you're doing is saying, here's some results. You know, when you look at what we call pharmaceutical science, it is for humans. The way they treat humans seems to be completely different from the way they treat everything else. And no wonder they don't like anybody's. And that's why witches were burnt at the stake, wasn't it? Because the apothecary couldn't sell his stuff because the witch was saying, look, you know, I'll do a swap, you do this, etc. So, you know, when you look at our history in this country, anyway, in England, people who have offered to heal, who don't have the backing of the lord of the manor or whoever's the king, have always been persecuted because it's about money. It's always about money. And that's what's so dirty and sick about all of this. And I just can't wait for it to change, Kim.
And the hypocrisy, because all the time they were using the healer.
Oh, yeah. They were going to the
getting turmeric.
They were going
sent over from the east and all the latest herbal remedies.
Probably the king put a beard on and pretended to be someone else to go and get the stuff. Absolutely, yeah.
It must be so exhausting to be that hypocritical. I mean, God, you know, it's like really, we're so lucky to be getting access to these amazing.
Yes, we are.
And
totally.
I know how much these guys have put into this to make it happen, and it's not just money. It's just the effort. It's the
time. Look, in the 1930s, you talked about Tesla. That all of the people in the 30s, 40s, and 50s who could have benefited from it but didn't, have had to wait till now, all these years later, before it's come full circle and it's all out again in some fields. And you know, millions of people could have been saved actually if this technology had been available. And again, this is a crime. As far as I'm concerned, this is a crime against humanity. If you withhold something for profit reasons, that surely is one of the worst crimes in the world. So thank God we're in this time now where the technology is such that, you know, it is reasonably affordable, it's producible. We've just got to overcome the politics.
I know. And of course, if all the mobile phone people and the router people and the big companies, the carriers and all of those people who knew that this was detrimental at some level to human health, particularly for small infants and children, why the heck didn't they just incorporate into the technology safeguards, which is completely normal? I mean, I guess it's the same as cars and all of that kind of thing, but it's the fact that they don't bother until they have to, and then they get all of this war chest class action lawsuit. I mean,
cars have brakes. Cars have brakes. They put that safety device into a motor car. We call it a handbrake. I can't remember what they call it in America, but they did put a safety device into a car to stop the car rolling down the hill, and it's called a little brake you pull up.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is with these big boys you've mentioned, as soon as you would put that, it would imply that their product was dangerous to start with.
Well, that's the thing is, well, we knew it was dangerous, but unfortunately we couldn't admit it. So we'd prefer to spend $1 trillion on a class action lawsuit after everybody's got cancer, you know. And it's just like, can't we just all agree just to take a deep breath, sit down on the ground in a circle, and let's talk about this? Loads of mistakes have been made. Lots of lies have been told. We're all fallible and human, but this has really gone too far. We've got to sort this stuff out now, because we're going to. But no, we can't do that. That would be far too, I suppose, loving. Far too loving.
Well, when it became, what was interesting in this country, I don't know about everywhere else, but the amount of money that the government was having to give the hospitals because of cancer, predominantly through testing, through cigarette smoking, the government said, we're paying more money for health than you're making profit in cigarettes. So they don't just stop it, they just move their market to India. So, this is what money does. It makes people desperate to get more and more profit. And humans are looked on like cattle. And that's the terrible thing. And so what you've just described, sitting around in a circle, is far too adult. That is what should happen. But these people, unfortunately, they're just into their profits and their stocks. And they won't just don't want to share. The old story.
Idealistic hippies. I mean, honestly, that's not going to do it, is it?
No, but it's going to be forced to it, because ultimately, people are becoming educated. They are, and they're asking questions, and they never did in 10 years ago. They didn't. Now they're asking serious questions of their health professionals, and they're not liking the answers they're getting back.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, all of these conversations that we're having and all of these wonderful people that we're now meeting and connecting up with, all of the Carolines and other people doing this wonderful research on the ground. I don't know about you, but I feel we are coming together, aren't we? And it's even though there's a turbulent start to the year, we're going to steam ahead this year, and great things are coming. There's no doubt about it. But in the meantime, protect yourself, protect the families. You can do something about this EMF thing. And look, we're gonna share, as we say goodbye, we're going to share a wonderful little intro about the Photonic solar, which is this latest thing for the whole house. But in the meantime, it's like I'm excited for us when we do get together in February, just to see where things have gone in the wider world. And I'm very excited because I think I'm doing something with Becky too. And
do a spiritual thing.
That's really exciting. So I'm really excited about that. And then of course the Tuesday thing, we keep rolling through with that, and we do the best we can. That's what we
fantastic, Kim. Listen, that's been a fantastic update today. I know we did a few previous and they were all good. So when you look at all of them together, I think you've really gone forward. And listen, lots of love to you, lots of love to the team. Thank you for your doing. And I once again thank you for the discounts, because they are needed. They're much appreciated. Thank you.
Lots of love to everybody. Thanks, Simon. Good to see you.
Okay, mate.